Hello everyone. I am CEO of Idox. I was only appointed 4 months ago, so you'll have to forgive me. That said, I've actually worked within the business for 16 years. I joined Idox in 2000 when Idox originally floated on the AIM market. I became the Group Sales Director in 2007. I then ran the Public Sector Division, Managing Director of the Public Sector Division from 2010. And I became the COO in 2014. So some of you may have met my predecessor before, Richard Kellett-Clark. I've worked with Richard now for 10 of the 16 years that I've been in Idox. So that said, I do have quite a long history within the business and will hopefully be able to share some of that with you now. So Idox was founded in 1996. As I mentioned a moment ago, we floated on the AIM market in 2000. Today, we have a market cap of nearer 280 million, and we are today a global business. 900 employees located in 20 offices around the world. I'll explain a little bit more about that as we go through the presentation. And Idox has grown significantly in the time that I've been with the business. Through both acquisition and organic growth. Again, I'll explain a little bit more about that during the presentation. And we're kind of at a changing point within Idox. My appointment is one of a number of board changes that were made in the last 2 years. We have a new chairman, Lawrence Vaughan, and we have some other non-executive directors. And we are working towards a plan that delivers the next stage of our growth. Idox today is made up of 5 business units or reporting segments. Key to our proposition is those business units are using common systems and processes, and increasingly with an investment we've made in our new digital service platform, using common technology to deliver everything that we do. Our largest business area is the government space. We started with an entry into local government to deliver planning systems. We now have over 90% of UK local authorities using one or more of our systems. And we are increasingly moving beyond local government to sell into central government as well. We have a business focused on delivering grants content and grants consultancy, helping businesses and organisations either find grant funding opportunities or working with them to apply for those grants. And again, we're working there with the public sector, but also with commercial organisations. Next part of the business is our compliance business, which focuses on delivering content, but in this case, delivering content around e-learning platforms to ensure that businesses are able to comply. Examples here are training courses around antitrust, anti-bribery, health and safety, data protection, selling very much into the commercial arena. Our compliance business is based in Germany, delivering very much to Fortune 500 organisations and ensuring that staff are trained, tested and periodically reviewed. The fourth segment of our business is the engineering business. Our engineering business focuses on delivering document control, document management and workflow into asset-intensive industries. By asset-intensive industries, we're predominantly talking about oil and gas, we're talking about utilities and particularly power generation, and we're also talking about construction. And the final part of the jigsaw we have within the business today is our digital segment. Our digital segment focuses on delivering website design, website delivery to a large number of organisations. Again, it has a very public sector focused. And the reason for expanding into digital in the last 2 years is to enable us to have more of the digital expertise required to deliver market-leading usability applications to our customers, both in the public sector and the commercial sectors in which we operate. So we are a fairly diverse business focused in a number of different segments. Some of those segments, again, not always necessarily completely aligned with each other. That's led the board to the decision in the last few months to refocus on becoming a more focused public sector provider. We've expanded from that very first entry in local government in 2000, when we're selling solutions into local government planning departments, to being a very very significant player within local government today. We're increasingly now selling into central government, into areas such as the emergency services, where over 50% of UK police forces are using us for one or more of the business systems that we have to offer. We now have transport systems where we're helping managing transport network and the road networks. The two areas, however, in which we have the most limited presence is the segments of health and criminal justice. To enable us to move into the health space, we've made a recent acquisition. We did a placing, an acquisition of a business called 6PM based in Malta. And that is giving us a very significant market opportunity to expand into the healthcare market, but also to provide products and services that we can align with the wider business that we currently run today. So the acquisition of 6PM is fairly significant in Idox's history. Although we've done over 25 acquisitions since I've been with the organisation, this is fairly significant for us, and it gives us a fairly substantial presence within the NHS market space. It plays very much to the public sector efficiency and cost-saving agenda, and is helping organisations save money. These solutions we're delivering typically deliver an in-year saving. The 6PM acquisition is focused on two areas: hospital management and clinical systems. I'd like to briefly touch on what they do. The hospital management system is focused on providing records, workforce and asset tracking within the hospital environment. Using RFID and barcoding technology, it enables NHS trusts to pinpoint resources within the hospital environments in which they work. One of the key drivers for that at the moment is in records, taking paper folders and tracking them around the building to understand where those resources are. It provides a very pragmatic alternative to traditional document management and the digitisation agenda that is a great idea, but practically not that feasible in terms of costs, time or resources. Using the same infrastructure, we're then able to track assets, whether that be a blood pressure monitor, whether that be a bed, whether that be anything within the physical estate. We can track those resources around the building as well. It's amazing how many devices within an NHS gets lost as it gets used at the point of service that it's required. And again, extending that capability, we're also providing workforce tracking, providing an alternative to traditional pager systems. So we now know where nurses and doctors are within the hospital. We're able to page the doctor with the relevant skills, the nearest to the area in which their resources are currently required. There's a key driver within the NHS at the moment to deliver GS1 compliance, and 6PM are the only provider of GS1 solutions across all of the work segments: people, records, assets. GS1 is the international standard around RFID and barcoding technology. Problem about working in a business is you speak jargon every day, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. The second part of the product, moving beyond the hospital management solutions, are clinical systems. These guys are providing very specialist clinical systems in areas such as stroke, dementia care, HIV, and sexual health. 6PM has over 70% of the UK market space in terms of delivering those systems, providing a strong platform, again, to continue to grow, but also to provide new clinical platforms in the years ahead. The technology within 6PM is obviously being used within health today. We see this being expanded into a large number of the areas in which we already work. We have a facilities management platform in which we see RFID and asset tracking becoming a core part of the technology. Our document management in asset-based industries are obviously also using that technology. Again, we see embedding that in there. We also see it as a pragmatic solution to documents and records management across the wider public sector, and we're already working on opportunities in areas such as local government and the police at providing a low-cost in-year return on investment to track paper and records in a controlled way. So, looking beyond 6PM, we have what we call the One Idox business model. And this is the fact that although we acquire lots of businesses, we work to integrate those businesses together. We're not a holding company. We're keen to take acquisitions and drive value, efficiency, savings, effectiveness, but equally collaboration across those business areas to drive the maximum value from the acquisitions that we make. So We have the benefit of having office consolidation, larger, better equipped locations, providing more corporate facilities and functional, features for staff and customers alike. We roll out corporate ERP, finance, unified communications across the world. Whichever business we're working with today, they're using the same systems and the same infrastructure. Pretty much from day one, within 6 months of acquisition, those systems are typically in place. We have a large amount of centralised marketing, product management and development. We're looking for synergies in product. We don't want to just have an RFID product within our 6PM colleagues in Malta. We want to have an RFID product that's usable across all the products and product areas that we have to deliver the most feature-rich, most capable solutions we can to our customers. We also think a unified brand is important. We're very keen that we are moving both customers and staff to work within a common brand umbrella. And above everything else, all of this is actually supporting cross-selling. The ability for us to take products, removing the internal barriers of different systems, different locations, different processes, different management structures, to make everything that we have available within the product portfolio available to everybody that we work with, both within customers and staff alike. It's worth going maybe back to our roots a little bit and talking about local government. We've moved very much beyond planning and are now delivering up to 70% of what the average local authority within the UK requires. We have a very different approach to lots of people where we don't deliver solutions horizontally, we focus on delivering everything we can within the vertical domains in which we operate. So today, as a good example, in elections, we deliver the back office software to enable people to manage the electoral register and manage the election. We're delivering print services to print poll cards and ballot papers. We deliver software that enables the count to happen much more quickly and much more effectively. And then we're providing outsourcing resources to help manage any part of that election process, whether that be the canvass, again, filling out the electoral register, whether that be involved in validating the count or verifying postal votes. We're delivering that end-to-end service as much as we can. And across all those areas today, we're providing that integrated end-to-end service delivery that we can. All of our systems can be delivered on-premise or via a SaaS platform. We're not dependent on one or the other. Therefore, we can work with any organisation, whether they need a very localised, secure, in-control environments or whether they want to go for a hosted model. So we have ultimate flexibility in everything that we deliver. But the real power in what we have in our platform today is when we install one of those products, all of those products are installed at the same time. It is a common technology platform that removes the barriers to people buying into one or more of our solutions. If we have a customer in planning today, they also have the software on site for elections, for estates management, for land charges, for antisocial behaviour. It's all there in one go, removing barriers or decreasing the barriers to sale that you might typically have, but also maximising investment from our customers. And we see increasingly local government consolidating on fewer suppliers, and we see ourselves very well placed to achieve that and continuing to achieve that in the days ahead. When I joined Idox, we had 10 customers in local government, and we've grown significantly in the last 16 years. And we do have significant market shares. These are the 4 main areas in which we operate today, the largest licence areas, but we still have market share to go after today, and we're still seeing that market share grow year on year. Beyond those 4 domains, in things like elections, we have less than 39%. We still have a lot of traction to go within local government today, and we can see that incremental growth year on year as councils consolidate and we can deliver more of our solutions. We actually just have over 7,900 customers today. We talked about our very large presence within local authorities. We have a large portfolio of product to draw on, and again, we're seeking to make that as common as possible. Another strength we see in Idox is our strong account management upsell model. Account management is very much what we do. We have a ratio of about 1 to 20 one account manager every 20 customers, working with those customers day in, day out to identify where they can get better value from the solutions they already have, but also the value from the other solutions they might take from us that they might have already on site, that they need additional incremental services or licenses to service. These are the significant customers we won in 2016 across all the business areas in which we operate. We're very proud of the one in the top left. We delivered the Royal Family's new website in 2016. Another one that's worthy of mention is the Public Transport Authority in Perth, Australia, where we're delivering the technology that manages their bus network and manages the allocation of buses to stands within their central bus station, and delivering an airport lounge type solution into a traditional public transport service. And again, at the very bottom there, the Electoral Office of Northern Ireland, we were selected in 2016 to deliver a new national election system for all of Northern Ireland that will go live in 2017. So looking a little bit more at some of our numbers, we're seeing growth in all of our core numbers. Our revenue in 2016 was up 23% to 76.7 million. Our adjusted EPS was up 25% to 4.11p. And adjusted EBITDA, the key measure that we use, but I've put all the other numbers there for you to see, was at 21.5 million, up 18%. We have, as a board, determined a progressive dividend policy where dividends increase in line with EBITDA growth. And again, our dividend last year grew by 18% to around 1 pence. Our revenue is diversified both geographically and by market segment. Our public sector business today is generating 53%. If we look at the public sector as a whole across all the segments in which we operate, 76% of our revenues today come from the public sector as a whole. Another strength of Idox is our strong visibility of revenues. Our recurring revenue in 2016 accounted for 43%. We expect that to grow in 2017. We also have a concept of repeating revenues, which takes our recurring and repeating revenues to 82%. So 82% of revenue last year came either from recurring contracted revenue or incremental sales to existing customers. We have a very strong visibility. We have over 80% visibility of this year's number before we start. And again, one of the key strengths of our account management model and service model and ongoing delivery mechanisms that we are very good at delivering. So, in summary, we are refocusing on the public sector. We believe that's important because 76% of our revenues come from there anyway, and we can deliver more by having that focus. But not just on local government, we're talking about public sector and not just the public sector within the UK. We are looking to expand that presence, and we've run contracts this year, not just in the UK, but in Europe as well. Our rationale is to deliver products and services that address public sector efficiencies and what we call the cost-saving agenda. Local authorities, central government, emergency services still being demanded to deliver ever greater efficiencies or to deliver more from the resources they already have, and therefore delivering solutions such as the 6pm solutions that deliver an in-year return on investment is very core to what we do. Our 6pm business has been amalgamated with other things within Idox, and we've now launched Idox Health, and the integration of 6pm is well underway, and our goal is to deliver high single-digit organic growth. Again, with that repeat revenues, that actually is a significant amount of increases on the core sales number. We will augment that and continue to augment that with targeted acquisitions, and we have an acquisition pipeline, and our goal is to do that at sustainable margins as we've done in the past. Obviously very happy to answer any questions you may have.
Forgive me if this is a little bit Jack and Jill question, but I didn't really know the company at all before today.
Okay.
Be interested in the rationale for the 6pm acquisition. Was it more about acquiring their existing business and cash flows, or was it to a large extent about strategic positioning to use their technology in your other divisions?
It's about the strategic positioning to use a technology within the other divisions, but also our belief, as we've done in other markets in which we've entered in the public sector space, to continue to grow that and help Ivan and the business as part of Idox grow faster than it has before. It's what we do with our acquisitions. It's a key part of what we do. So two things. One, there's a strong technology. One, there's a strong platform on which we can continue to build as part of our broader offering. But also the fact that we believe we can accelerate our presence in the healthcare market and grow revenues as a consequence of the acquisition.
Is that business in the NHS already there with 6PM, or are you hoping to?
So 6PM today have 22% of NHS trusts within the UK using one or more of the hospital management products that I described using the RFID and barcoding technology. They have a healthy pipeline and they are continuing to win deals and have won deals since we've acquired them. So we see them continue to grow and expand. I think the one interesting thing for us, and we've obviously worked with 6PM over a period of time prior to the acquisition and through the acquisition process, the NHS suffers from the same challenges we see in all the public sector markets in which we operate. And therefore we have a good understanding of it. We have a very strong sales team that we see working with Ivan's team to extend their capability and win more business than they are. So the NHS is notoriously difficult, as is public sector more generally in terms of its approach and challenges. What we have seen, not just in NHS but in the public sector in general, is we've moved beyond some of those historic challenges of people not wanting to do things. There are real drivers now where people have to make choices to do something in a way they didn't do before. You know, it's kind of ironic. I actually prefer selling to the public sector today than I did 10 years ago when cash was being thrown around. Actually, there's a driver, there's a need, there's a requirement. They're looking for a solution that delivers that outcome in a sustainable and cost-effective way, which actually makes sales to some degree, as long as it's managed well, more predictable than it was previously when it was, do I like this? Do I prefer this over that? Whereas now it's compelling drivers, things that we would understand much more in the commercial world in which we live.
Thank you.
When you sell one of your technologies, even to an existing customer,
Yep.
how much configuration and customization is needed to get it ready for them?
We deliver everything very much out of the box.
Yeah. So they're web-based products then to a large extent, are they?
Some of our products are a lot of our products are web-based. Some of our products are traditional back-end systems where web delivery doesn't necessarily deliver the functionality or the performance they require, especially when we're dealing with things like CAD or we're delivering things like spatial mapping and things like that are very core parts to our product. We take an approach with customers whereby we deliver something out of the box wherever we can and we support them to customize it. There are 454 local authorities in the UK and every planning department would declare themselves unique in the way that they work and the way that they operate. However, 80% is pretty much common and standard. So we deliver that standard wherever we can. We can get someone up and running on our hosted platforms within 5 to 7 days in terms of delivering the requirements. Data migration, any customization configuration is very much down to them. We are not prescriptive and say you must work like this. We're delivering a business system tool that needs to be flexible to deliver what that organisation needs to work the most efficiently. Corporation of London has very different planning challenges to Westminster. You might not appreciate that, but they do in the nature of the areas in which they work and the challenges they face. So we're very keen to deliver that customisation and flexibility that they need to deliver the maximum outcomes. But where we can, standard, out of the box, ready to go. We have done it before, and it's that 80-20 rule that we try and sell to people as much as we can.
You say that you've made a strategic decision to stick to government. What is going to happen with the commercial side now? Are you just going to let that wither on the vine, or are you know, what's your plans with that?
Plan is to continue to allow it to grow, okay, and support it to grow going forward. They both make a positive contribution in revenue and profit. So we're not seeking to dispose of them in any way, and we certainly don't want them to wither on the vine. Looking at the model we talked about, 76% of our revenues come from the public sector across the board. We're delivering compliance into the public sector. We're delivering grants consultancy into the wider public sector, the voluntary sector, NGOs, as well as government and local government. So they are core to that mission in some respects. The only part of the business that obviously isn't is our engineering business. But again, yeah, despite our challenges that we talked about a moment ago, very profitable and delivering, starting to deliver growth. Last year, we'll continue that growth trend in 2017 as well.
Isn't oil and gas key to that? I mean, isn't oil and gas what crippled engineering?
It was. One of the things I did in 2014 is we've diversified that to 3 equal proportions. So a third of the revenues come from oil and gas. A third of the revenue comes from utilities, and utilities, we're talking about power generation, and particularly nuclear power generation, in which we have the lion's share of systems, and the third part of that is construction. So we've diversified that to de-risk the portfolio. We are seeing early growth opportunities coming from oil and gas. We are seeing revenues coming through, but we've de-risked that activity by having a much more diversified customer base. And again, where's growth coming from today? It's coming inevitably more from utilities and construction than it is from oil and gas.
Andy, many thanks indeed.
Thank you very much.